Go.
Yes, welcome to Small Axe Protection. For those of you who are wondering who we are, if you are a huge and mighty tree, a strong and a powerful person, we just want you to know that we are the small axe, sharpened, real sharp, sharpened to cut you down to size, no matter who you think you are. We welcome you to the Small Axe Productions, and that you should know certainly that we are the Small Axe, and we are sharpened to cut you down. We're going to cut you down to size. Hello, and thank you. I tell you, Mark Zuckerberg is an ultimate genius to create a business model where people create content for you for free, and you get to become a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, and all the little people running around you telling them how you're going to do charity work and die and leave your money for them. And in the meantime, all the people want to just be on your platform like clowns, showing you what they're eating, showing you their poses and wondering. And I got to say this to you women out there on Facebook. I mean, you all are very beautiful. And there's nothing nicer than beautiful, lovely, sexy women. And I love each and every one of you. And if I could have each and every one of you, I would. But you cannot just keep posting these pictures saying, look at me, aren't I cute? Don't you want me? Look at me. Look at that. That gets old after a while. Get on here and give a nice sermon like me. Get on here and say something of value. After sex, there has to be intellectual stimulation. After sex, there has to be economic activity. And we only look pretty for 2 minutes naked. So wear clothes when you come up line. Dress and be pretty. Be pretty like me. Don't come in your nakedness. Don't come showing your booty. Don't come showing your assets. Wait. Let somebody work to get to see those assets. Don't give it to the world for free. That's what George Washington Carver, the Tuskegee Institute, he created the agro-business industry and he gave it to the world for free, gave it to the Europeans for free, and they did shit for us. You're giving the booty for free on Facebook and on Snapchat. Oh, by the way, I just want you all to know, I'll be setting up an account. Let me see, I brought my book into the office. I think it's called For Friends Only or For Fans Only. I'm going to be for fans only. I'm going to be on Snapchat, whatever these platforms are. Now, here's the thing, I'm not selling sex. So if you're looking to buy sex, you don't have to follow me. But if you want to learn about sex scientifically, then I am the teacher to whom you need to turn. So I hear on For Fans Only, people are showing their pee-pee and showing their VVV. One thing I want to tell you, anything you put online, okay, is recorded in the Library of Congress. So whatever they tell you about Snapchat, it goes away. No, it does not go away. Okay? These videos that I'm making, I'm fully aware they're not going to go away, but I intend on making them. I am consciously making them, and I am of sound mind and body as I make them. Yes, I am. Anyway, let's have a drink. I live this drink tonight, the blood which is symbolic of the blood of my ancestors, of all of those whom I've departed, of the closest one to me, my dearly departed wife, Mimi. And I hope that I don't break down. But tomorrow Tomorrow is All Saints Day. This Halloween thing about ghosts and whatever. That is a way they misrepresent this time of the year. This is the moon of the harvest, the moon of the hunter. When we thank nature for giving us light and for allowing our crop to come to fruition. And when Rome had gone into Africa, Rome found among the African people and the people of Egypt that they celebrated and worshipped their ancestors. Yes, that's why you find these great tombs in Egypt, in Nubia, and in the Sudan. They don't tell you about the ones in the Sudan. They don't tell you about the ones in the South Sudan, among the Dinka peoples. My dear friends, and for like citizens, residents, those who are here illegally and scared every moment that you might face deportation, I want you to know that we think of you too. We think of you too. There are many of our people here, not just those from Mexico, not just those dreamers. We have African people, we have Caribbean people, we have Brazilian people. Tomorrow, and when is tomorrow? At 12:01, 000 point whatever before you get to the 1 a.m. this morning, after they have manipulated the clocks, we will begin to recognize just the Catholic Church and the Catholic people, but we here every day for us is All Saints Day. It's not a day that goes by. It's not a day that goes by that we don't think of Mimi. And I don't think of Mimi. We try not to too strongly, because as you can see, you know, I remember a study, a report on Teddy. You know, Teddy, that's one of my favorite characters in history, Teddy Roosevelt, who became president of the United States at the turn of the century and was responsible for building the US Navy and building the United States Empire. Teddy was a roughneck. He had a group of gangsters with him called the Rough Riders, and they went to Cuba and murdered and slaughtered a lot of people in the Spanish-American War so that the United States of America could acquire the Philippines and could take control of Cuba as a colony of the empire. You see, the United States throughout its history have always wanted to annex Cuba because Cuba had great fertile ground for the growing of sugarcane and cotton during the era of slavery. So Teddy, I don't hate the man for what he did. I think people should do, you know, this man can go kill you. That's what Trump say. Trump say you go to war, you come back, you got PTSD, you're a coward, you're weak. Well, Teddy was strong. Teddy killed people in Cuba. He went to Africa, he killed animals, and he came back and he became the president of the United States. And as president, or even before president, as secretary of the Department of Defense, he built our military so that we have this strong and powerful military forces today. And that's one of my heroes. And what I want to tell you about Teddy, that man was so strong. He was strong like a bull. You know, Teddy was on his way to a campaign and he got shot. And they asked him, they said, Teddy, how are you doing? He said, I'm strong. strong like a bull. If any of you ever wonder where I get that saying from, it's from Teddy Roosevelt, the Rough Rider, the roughneck, the gangster. So as we can see, among us, the men and the women whom are able to kill, to murder, to slaughter, and to do it in the name of the state and in the name of the ideology, and who have been okay and comfortable with it, they go to war, they slaughter people, they come back, they head a corporation. They're out there right now as we speak. When Teddy became president, and his family, you know, you go from his family, you go from the other Roosevelt, the one in the 40s or the late 30s, you know, they all linked together. They are all part of the United States of America aristocracy. Listen, let me say that word again. They are all aristocrats. They are of the ruling class, and they were destined and predestined to be the rulers of us. And so now here I come today, and I'm trying to tell you the story about Teddy. Well, the reason why I'm telling you about Teddy is when I mention the name of Mimi, it brings tears to my eyes. And Teddy was married, and his wife died. I don't recall if he remarried, but let's just say his first wife died. And it is said that the mere mention of her name, no matter where Teddy was, to mention her name, he would break into tears. But he was strong like a bull. You know, many of you have an ancestor, a departed mother, a departed friend, a departed sister, a departed brother. Each one of us, we speak of how much we cared and love our mother and our father, our brother and our sister. But I must ask you, when was the last time you visited the grave of your brother, of your sister, of your friend, or of your teacher? You know, I remember the last time I visited my friend's grave off of 59. And I brought him a cold beer and a bottle of water and a pack of cigarettes. Those were his vices in this life. Tomorrow, where the observant people are, they will go to the graves. They were there today. They were there yesterday, digging out the weeds and making ready for tomorrow, when the priests will come and say mass and bless the graves. Some places, like in the Philippines and other parts of the world, the people will be very elaborate, and in Mexico and in South America, and they will bring food and they will bring drink. And I've had the honor this year to visit a cemetery in Houston, Texas, and to observe the grand burial places that some of the Asian people had and some of the Hispanic people had, and to witness the people on a Sunday, actually it was a Saturday, that entire families had gathered at the graves of their ancestors, and they were having a meal and a picnic as if to keep their people alive. For some of us, that only occurs once a year, and that's tomorrow. That's when the clock hits 01 a.m. tonight or this morning. And I want to ask you to light a candle or turn on a light. Maybe you don't want to start a fire. But turn on a light. If that's the only time you have to remember your ancestor, tonight you might even be in a party wearing a costume. Tonight you might be even in an orgy wearing a costume. But you didn't go to your father's grave. You didn't go to your mother's grave. You might not even have been to your son or your daughter's grave. That's why we carry our ancestors with us. We keep them in the house. We keep them in the yard. So they're never far away. That journey ain't but a few steps away. You know, tomorrow is All Saints' Day. And I ask you to stop and to remember all of our ancestors. Now, our ancestors are not just our families and our friends, but they are also our leaders. Those people who sacrifice their lives that we may be free. Women and men who died the way Christ had died across the sea. They died as Christ died to make men and women holy. These people died to make women and men free. Their names are so many, but I'll try to call a few names that we must remember. A few names to whom we must offer prayers and ask for help, because we need help. We're going to need a lot of help for what is coming. If I tell you what I see, see, a lot of you don't believe. A lot of you do not believe, but you know, we keep a crystal ball. We keep a crystal ball, and I read the crystal ball, and I'm looking into the crystal ball now. I'm looking into it. And if I tell you what I see, you don't want to know. You don't want to know what is to come, because you're not prepared, and you have not been prepared. And I want to tell you again, the pen is mightier than the sword. The pen is mightier than the sword, but certainly there are limits to the pen. And when you reach the limit of your pen, when you reach the limit of your pen, and when you face the threat of extermination and an existential threat, you must know, like all other peoples of the world, that you do not prepare for war in the time of war. You prepare for war in the time of peace. You prepare for war in the time of peace. And that's why I come today to tell you that we, the sons of Ham, the daughters of Ham, and we remember most of all when we start to pray to our ancestors, Faswa Makandal. We call on the spirit of Makandal on All Saints' Day. We call on the spirit of Toussaint. We call on all the spirits of all the liberation fighters who fought to resist against the British, against the French, against the Spaniards, against the Portuguese. And then as we come into the turn of the 20th century, we call on the spirit of Marcus Garvey. We call on the spirit of Booker T. Washington. We call on the spirit of all the unknown people who died from lynching, who died from murder, who died in prison, who died a miserable death because they came to work for free. And that's how they were treated. We ask their souls. We invoke their souls. I give this prayer now, and I give it now, as I invoke the soul of my great-grandmother and my grandmother and my unknown grandfather. As I call upon all whom I have met, too many to mention to you, that I reach out to them supernaturally and ask them to come to our aid. We are going to need a lot of help. We're going to need supernatural help. We're going to need supernatural power. The only way we're going to get that help, the only way that these gods are going to come to our aid, tomorrow, being All Saints Day, I ask you to say a prayer to them. Ask them to go to God, to go to St. Michael, to go to, what's this other one, St. Christopher, to go to Shango. Aye, aye, aye. You know, you have to excuse me, you know, as a man of faith, a man of the club, a holy father, you know, a spiritual leader. You have to understand that when the energy of the universe and also the presence of the ancestors is invoked, it becomes a very emotional experience. Sometimes I end up with a huge headache after this type of experience, and I have to spend the rest of the night or the day nursing the headache. And my eyes grow so red. You know, if the police came, they would think I was on some kind of drug. Sometimes they don't know, because sometimes I'm driving. You know, sometimes I'm driving and I have to pull over. I have to pull over because I had a thought. I had a thought. It's not always a thought of Mimi. It's not always a thought of Mimi, but being that she's recently minted, being how it occurred. You know, one of the things we have adopted, okay, I want to share this with you. And I want you to understand that we are very, very, very serious. Some people think that we're just out there. We don't know what we're talking about, where we're headed, where we're going. But I want you to know, we know where we are going. We know what we want. And we know how to get it. If some of you will just step in line. You see, some of you are so damn ignorant. You have all these degrees and all this other, whatever the hell it is. But, you know, there was this ignorant man called Du Bois. He wouldn't even pronounce his name right, which is Dubois. It is French. But he was such a elitist, light-skinned mulatto in the struggle in the United States of America. This man attacked Marcus Garvey. This man conspired with the United States government to destroy Marcus Garvey and to destroy Booker T. Washington. And this man called Marcus Uncle Tom and called Booker T. and Uncle Tom because Marcus believed and Booker T. believed that when it came to all things economics, we are but like the fingers of the hand, equal. We want to participate in economic activity, but when it comes to things social, we are separate but equal. Go look up Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery. Every one of you need talking about struggle, talking about fighting. Go and read Marcus Garvey. Go and read Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery, and go and study the achievements of the Tuskegee Institute, and you'll understand why we have to strengthen our institutions. But let me tell you this. We style ourselves as a small axe. A small axe, real sharp. And if you are a big tree, and which you are, a big tree, a huge and mighty tree, then we are the small axe. We are Small Axe Productions. We are Small Axe Movement. We are the army of Francois Macandal, who did not own a gun Francois Macandal and the people in Haiti had no guns. They had no allies. They had no friends. If they got anything from the United States of America, was because the United States of America was seeking to undermine the French so that they could gain the territories in Canada. And it was because of Haiti they gained the Louisiana territories. Francois Macandal, viva. In his memory we pray tonight. And we go beyond Francois, but we cannot tell you all that now. It's too much for you. You cannot even handle it. You can't even handle my emotions. You can't stand to see me cry. But these cries, these tears that I cry, are tears of remembrance. While they could be tears of sorrow, they are also tears of hope. For in our ancestors we find the allies that we need. For if there is a God, and if there is a hell and there is a heaven, and you know we choose to go to hell, because hell must be, there ain't too many people in hell, everybody's in heaven. So we're gonna have a good time in hell. I hope we got wine in hell. Beautiful women, oh my goodness. How can you imagine dying and going to heaven? You live in this life miserable, ugly and fucked up, ain't got no ass, and you ain't gonna get ass in heaven? My friend, that is a fucked up concept. You got to have ass in heaven. If you didn't have ass in this life. And then all these people that hated you, all of a sudden you're going to be living together as one in harmony under God. Oh, come on, don't be a fool. Don't be ignorant. Do not be ignorant. There is but one God, and I'm looking at him. And they all taught you that you were made in the image of likeness of God. So I want to know who that God is. I tell you, when I look at myself speaking to you, I see a God. I see a God in me, and I can reach to you the same way that God was reaching to you by Moses and Abraham and all those other people. You know, that God story is so screwed up. They said that Abraham was going to go sacrifice his firstborn son so he could honor the Lord. And now I hear some people, you know, a lot of my, you know, I love my people from Africa now. No man how I speak of them. My brothers and my sisters from, particularly from Nigeria. I have not met, I've met a few Africans that have been very arrogant, but for the most part, a lot of our support are from our African brothers and sisters, newly arrived from the continent and sowing their seeds in the United States of America. So one day we're going to have an indigenous African president. Allah, hula, hula. You see, y'all just made me speak in tongues. Aye, aye, aye. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I don't want to look like I'm an attention prostitute. Is that what they call it, an attention prostitute, an attention hoe? But you must say, right? I'm much more handsome than Donald Trump. I'm much more interesting than Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump can be the president of the United States of America, I believe it's time, you know, they wanted to change the Constitution for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be the president, and that man was screwing his maid. I've never screwed a maid. Much as have a child with a maid and have the child growing up in the same house, and that he was married to U.S. royalty, the Kennedys. So I want to tell you something. I want to be the first immigrant senator from Texas. Yes. And then I want to change the Constitution of the United States of America so I can run to be president. I have what it takes. I've got the looks, right? Don't I have the looks? And guess what? I'm going to cut your taxes. No new taxes. Read my lips. No new taxes. And yes, I'm going to turn the United States of America into a socialist country. You know why? If socialism and bailout is good for the great banks and the great insurance companies, the smartest people among us who run cons and scams